Hello, welcome to The Journey to Success. My name is Rajen J, and on today's show we've got a very special guest. We've got Mr. Navin Kundra. How are you doing, sir?
Good, thank you.
You're right.
Yeah.
Where did your kind of musical journey begin?
I can't tell you specifically why I love music so much, but I've always had a passion for it since I can remember. So my parents tell me that when I was barely 2, I would get up in front of the TV and start imitating Michael Jackson. I have no recollection of this myself, but that's just something that I used to do, and I don't know why I have this connection with music, because it's not like I'm from a musical family, but I just love it, and I'm so blessed to be able to make music my career today.
And in terms of growing up in your school life,
yeah.
What did you actually study at college and university?
I was a real geek actually in school, and I was very studious. So I did really well, because the one thing that my parents taught me was to give your education your all. And I was student of the year. I remember I got 11 A stars for my GCSEs. And I studied, I got my A-levels, maths, psychology. I did all of that stuff, and my degree was in business and psychology.
Oh wow!
And so it wasn't music, because I always felt that music is something you don't really need to have a qualification for or a degree for. If you can get up on stage and perform, if you can feel it, and you can make other people feel your music, then that's that's better than any qualification you can get.
No, that's great. Would you agree in saying one of your biggest breaks was in your appearance in Saregama?
Yeah. Yes, that was to get noticed as someone with a voice. I always used to try and perform wherever I could. So any platform that I could find, I would be on there. And whether it was a school competition, or whether it was a karaoke night, or whether it was some local talent competition that was happening, I would find a way of getting onto it. And I just so happened to be at a Miller where they were auditioning for a World Series of Saregama.
Wow.
So I walked in there and I sang, and it was crazy because there were people a lot older than me that were, really serious. They were there with their harmoniums and they were there practicing, and I just rolled in and I was like, okay, let's give this a go. So I went for the audition. Bandit Dineshji, who is a world famous percussionist, is also now my mentor as well, took my audition. That's where I met him, and he put me through one round, put me through the next round, another round, and I had a phone interview at 5 in the morning, and the episode itself was filmed on my 19th birthday, which was the best birthday present you could ever have. I was flown to Dubai to represent my country. I was the youngest contestant on the show as well, and it was just an amazing experience.
And you also, you did actually sing in front of great people like Zakir Hussain and Ghulam Ali. What was that like?
Well, Saregama is a show that we used to watch together as a family at home.
Yeah.
And it's filmed in India most of the time, and it was like, I would love to be on there one day. So it was like jumping inside the TV and being there and singing for them. And yes, you have Jagjit Singh Ji there, you have Ghulam Ali Ji, you have Ustad Zakir Hussain Saab. I'm stood next to Shan, who I'm a big fan of, and it was a lot to take in. But I think the other thing of being that young is you're quite fearless. If I was to do that now, I would be so much more aware of who everyone is and what I need to do. At that point, it was just, we just go up there and sing. It was just another chance for me to do what I love doing. So it was amazing, and I came away with a lot of blessings and a lot of good feedback. And that whole competition itself confirmed for me in my head that this is what I want to do. So I came back home and worked even harder.
And you said you came back home. Linked to that, in 2005, you actually won the BBC Asian Network Unsung Award. How did you feel coming back to the UK and winning that award?
It was incredible, because your journey never really stops. So you can win one competition, you can win another, but that doesn't mean that you've made it or you're successful. It's just a part of your journey. And when I came back, I was looking for my next opportunity. And one of the biggest reasons why I entered that competition was because of the judges. And there were some fantastic judges in there, but there were three in particular that were of interest to me. So one was Adil Ray, who was a key presenter on the BBC Asian Network at that time. The other was Rishi Rich, who was, one of the hottest voices in the British Asian scene. And the third was Nairan, who was Raghav's manager at the time. And I just loved what Nairan had done with Raghav and his whole project, how it had blown up in the mainstream, yet it was so drenched in Indian classical music and Indian folk music, but it just had this contemporary feel about it. So those three were the people that I wanted to really meet, and that's what drew me to that competition. And I submitted a demo tape of myself singing a Robbie Williams song. Actually, it was Feel. It's something I just recorded at home and I sent it in, and I was shortlisted from thousands of entries. And there were three of us, and then we were invited to perform at the Birmingham Symphony Hall, which is a really prestigious venue, along with some of the biggest names in British Asian music and Asian music. I mean, we had Gurdas Manji there, we had Sukshinder Shinder Ji there, we had the Rishi Rich Project were there. Yeah. I think it was Dr. Zeus. It was the best. It was like there's an industry that you really want to be a part of, and then you go somewhere and everyone is there backstage and they're all walking around, and I was like, wow, that's so and so and that's so and so, and they're walking around. It was just a fantastic experience, and I won the competition that night, and I didn't just win the judges' choice, I won the audience's favourite award as well. So it was very memorable for me, and that was the start of my relationship with my current manager, Ira.
And I mean, linked to that, I mean, what was the kind of creative process you went through from kind of like, doing all these performances to kind of creating your own music and, actually seeing yourself, release music videos?
Yeah, that's a really interesting transition, because for so much of my life I was singing other people's songs. And even today I'll get up on stage and I'll perform cover versions of songs that already exist. And after I'd won Unsung, it was only then that I realised that actually I now need to start writing my own material and putting out my own songs. So I was looking for writers to work with for a long time, but it never really quite materialised for me. So it was just a case of searching within myself and pulling out some emotions and trying to put words together that aren't usually said in languages that Punjabi, Hindi, English. As a British Asian, they're the three languages that I'm surrounded by all the time. So it was very natural yet unusual for me to be able to just mix them all together and come up with songs. And my first song was a Punjabi song called Dukde Dukde, which I put out just virally online, and it just went from there.
And I mean, we mentioned Rishi Rich Project earlier, but you actually worked with them as well, didn't you?
Yes. Well, the amazing thing is, I mean, all of the judges that were there on that night, I've worked with all of them now throughout my journey, and continue to do so.
Yeah.
So it was great to be able to work with Nairan, to be able to work with Rishi, to do interviews with Adil, to share the stage with Shilpaji from DCS, and to have also worked at various performances with Mona Singh as well, who was the other judge.
And I think you also worked with Jay Sean as well, is that right?
Yeah, we did a collaboration, myself, Rishi and Jay. It was a song called Fade Away.
Yeah. What was that like working with Jay Sean? Because now he's like, in terms of Asian artists, he's like the biggest thing right now.
Yeah, well, he wasn't as big
then, yeah.
Then as, but we never actually were in the studio together.
Oh, okay.
It was something that he'd recorded and he'd already written his parts, and then I came in and I wrote my parts and put them together. But I worked with Jay at certain events, we were on the same lineup together, and it was always fun. You know, even now I draw a lot of inspiration from my peers and my contemporaries, and you know, they're the kind of artists that still inspire me.
And I mean, like, is that something that you want to try and do more? Like, do you want to try and do more collaborations, or do you enjoy focusing on kind of your own career?
I enjoy it all, actually. I think if you're doing a collaboration, that doesn't mean that you're not focusing on your own career. It's just growth. It's just trying something different. And a collaboration for me should always work musically. It shouldn't just be about working with a big name for the sake of working with a big name. You know, if you get a feature like that, then it should really show in the track and in the music that comes through. So I enjoy working on collaborations, and I enjoy writing my own music as well.
And in 2011, you actually became the ambassador of the British Asian Trust.
Yes.
I mean, that's a lot of responsibility. What was that like, just knowing that, you know, you've been awarded that?
That was a very big moment for me, because in many ways it was recognition for all the hard work that I've done over the years and the progress that I've made, that I'm now someone who can be entrusted with such a responsibility. You know, the British Asian Trust is it's an amazing organisation. You know, the trust itself is founded by Prince Charles. And,
did you get to meet him?
Yeah, I've met him twice now.
Oh, excellent.
You know, it's nice to be able to do something like that, but give back as well, because it's all very well me going out on stage and performing and entertaining people and being all famous, but if I can't do good with that fame that I've created, or those relationships that I've created, it's pointless. So the British Asian Trust just gave my role a bit more meaning in my career, and you know, that year itself, I raised £10,000. We broke a Guinness World Record at Manchester Milan for the biggest Bollywood dance ever done to my song Mehbooba. And it's a nice feeling to know that that's something you can do, and you can give back to those people that are less fortunate.
You mentioned your song Mehbooba.
Yes.
Can we get a really short, quick... can we just get you to sing a really short piece of Mehbooba, please?
Oh meri jaane ja, oh meri dilruba, oh mere paas abhi ja, oh meri महबूबा, oh मुझे ना सहता, कब से खड़ा हूँ मैं, हूँ यहाँ, oh तू है हुस्न की रानी, oh मेरी प्रेम कहानी, oh मेरे दिल भर जानी, oh तू है छैल छबीली, oh बड़ी रंग रंगीली, oh तू है नैन नशीली, महबूबा महबूबा, नाच मेरी जान, नाच मेरे साथ.
That was excellent. Thanks a lot for that. And I mean, as you do as a performer, you got awarded that, and then a week later you were performing with Mr. Rahat Fateh Ali Khan.
Yes, it was again, you know, it's like someone that you listen to all the time, you draw inspiration from, and then finally they're there in front of you, they're dancing. I was performing and he walked in and he would start dancing to whatever song I was singing. I can't remember at the time. I think it was Mehbooba. And it's amazing, you know. I love that music has given me these kind of opportunities. I mean, just 2 weeks ago I was performing alongside Shah Rukh Khan.
Oh, wow.
Last week I was performing on stage with JLS. It's like, it's a dream come true.
And I mean, what's kind of like the difference? Do you find a difference between working with like more... Do you find a difference between working with kind of non-Asians compared to like Asian music, like creatively?
Creatively, there are certain differences, but there's nothing that I can specifically pick out. I mean, my producer that I work with most, Mushtaq, comes from a background where he doesn't necessarily just make Asian music. You know, he's a mainstream producer, and his whole perception of music is very broad. So he consumes every single genre, and then when you're consuming so much, it feeds into what you create, and that gets regurgitated in the music that we put out, and it's fusion essentially. So we'll take elements of soul, and we'll take elements of R&B and hip hop and pop, and we'll mix it with Indian classical, Indian folk, Bhangra, Bollywood. You know, it's a complete fusion of all of that. And I think working with someone like that helps broaden your own knowledge of music and your own horizons as well. So I really enjoy just learning about different types of music. There are times when I'll go into the studio and we don't even create anything, we just listen. I've spent time with Mushtaq just listening to Ustad Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, and you just listen, you take inspiration, and then the next day I'm in there recording Aja, and you can hear those influences in that record.
Wow. I mean, talking about working in different genres.
Yeah.
This Valentine's just gone.
Yes.
You actually released a brand new track called Hamesha.
That's right.
Now, for a lot of people, I mean, it sounds, when I first heard it,
yeah.
I'll have to admit, it reminded me of kind of like the Bee Gees kind of sort of sound, but very classic. Well, not really classical, but really kind of like music you'd hear from the 70s and stuff like that. I mean, how did that kind of...
It's funny you should say that. because Hamesha is a cover of a 70s song by a group called Heatwave. The song is called Always and Forever. And I'd met them a few years back at a Sony TV awards function, and we were sharing the lineup that night, and I didn't actually know who they were, but they got up on stage and they sang that song, and I just completely fell in love with it. And there's very few songs that have that kind of impact straight away. So I came back and we developed a relationship, and I just went away, rewrote some parts in Hindi. I just wanted to put out a cover. It's been a while since I released a love song. The last one being Tere Liye, which did phenomenally well. I mean, it was #1 in the charts for 3 months. And it was a time when Bhangra music was the dominating sound, the dominating genre, and to an extent it still is. And I love Bhangra music, but I've always wanted to do something different and to create a sound of my own and a place of my own in the industry. So I think with Tere Liye I managed to do that, and this is a return to that soulful, melodious kind of era. And in Hamesha, to take a 70s soul song from the mainstream and mix it with Hindi and then deliver it was quite a challenge. But it was Valentine's Day, I was feeling romantic, I wanted to give something away to you guys, and we just put it out, and the response has been amazing.
Can we just, once again, just get you to sing a little piece of Hamesha?
हमेशा हमेशा हर पल तेरे साथ है जैसा एक सपना जो सच हो गया तेरी आँखों में है ये जन्नत मेरी जो रब से मांगी थी तू वो मन्नत मेरी है every day love me your own special way melt all my heart away with a smile. Take time to tell me you really care, and we'll share tomorrow together. Ooh, baby, I'll always love you forever.
Wow. I'm a bit touched right now.
Easy way, easy.
Okay, I mean, we've kind of spoke about, the things you've achieved as your kind of career, but one of the big questions that I personally kind of have, and a lot of people say to me is, you meet all these people, you do all these interviews, but what is the real person actually like?
You don't want to know. You don't wanna know.
So just to give our audiences a little insight, I'm just going to ask you a few quick questions and just hit me with your first response.
Okay, cool.
So, I mean, what do you get up to in your spare time? Like, what's like fun things that you like to do?
I don't have much spare time, but I love to just surf YouTube. That's my spare time killer. That's what I do. I can just spend hours on YouTube. I like to spend time with my family. I like to watch movies, that sort of thing. Pretty normal stuff.
What would you say your favourite food is?
Favourite food, paneer, pizza, not together obviously. A paneer pizza might be quite cool though, hey?
There is actually a few really nice places that make those.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
We have to go down
going.
one day.
That's where we're going.
Favourite city?
Favourite city, I think London. And I still feel like a tourist every time I come here because I'm not based in London. But yeah, I think London.
So do you like to drive or do you like to be driven?
I love driving. You know, I spend a lot of time on the road, and it's really where I get to do all my practicing. I'm in the car singing along to my backing tracks. Being driven is quite cool as well, especially when I'm abroad. It's nice. You don't want to, you know, sometimes you have to be on the other side of the road, so it's nice.
Yeah. And finally, I mean, what's coming up? What can we expect from the great Navin Kundra?
There's a whole lot more coming up. I've got so much more new music lined up for you guys. I'm doing a lot of live shows as well. And we're stepping up the whole campaign this year, so I'm really excited. I hope you guys stay with me because it's about to get a whole lot more exciting.
Alright, wicked. Thanks a lot for being on the journey to success.
Thank you.
That was the journey to success. My name is Rajen J, and today we were joined by the special Navin Kundra.